We are glad to welcome Yusha Bay today and appreciate him sharing his insights with our audience. Yusha received PhD degree in electrical engineering from Purdue University in 2012. His research was in radio frequency RF MEMS for reconfigurable front ends. Over the past 20 years, he has held various roles in academia and the private sector where he developed commercial MEMS-based products. Yusha joined CMC Science Corporation as a process integration engineer in 2024, where he currently manages the multi-wafer project program for piezo, SOI, and polymers technologies. He also manages the back end of line processes for Prima retinal prosthesis. MEMS device development hinges and in this webinar, Yusha will highlight the critical role of MEMS prototyping in enabling scalable and clinically robust brain-computer interface technologies at a reduced cost to overcome commercialization barriers. The presentation will last around 30 minutes, and following the presentation, we'll have a brief 2 to 3 minute poll to gather your feedback and gauge your interest in our MEMS MPW offerings. I request all of you to participate in the poll as it helps CMC deliver relevant webinars that bring advanced technologies like the ones developed by science to the forefront. The poll will be followed by a Q&A session where we encourage you to actively participate and ask questions. Now, I'm pleased to invite Dr. Bay to take the virtual floor. Please join me in giving him a warm welcome. Dr. Bay, the floor is yours.
All right. Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. Looking forward to sharing how our company, via our vertically integrated MEMS Foundry, is enabling fabless companies in the exciting and rapidly growing space of brain-computer interfaces. So brain-computer interfaces are devices that can read and write from the brain to treat a number of debilitating neurological diseases have been around for decades. Perhaps the most ubiquitous is deep brain stimulation, which are deep brain probes used to control seizures or tremors in diseases like Parkinson's and epilepsy. BlackRock Neurotech, known for commercializing the silicon-based Utah array, implanted their first patient over 20 years ago and has continued to push to bring life-changing technology to fully paralyzed people. While the road of BCI commercialization has been a long one, a recent Morgan Stanley report estimates that the intermediate term total addressable market for these devices is around $400 billion and growing, with huge upticks in commercialization expected in the next 5 years. As you can also see in the pie chart on the left, the market is seriously underpenetrated with tons of room left to grow. Over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen a pretty dramatic shift in the fabrication methods used for BCI devices. The need to push to higher channel count devices for improved functionality has pushed manufacturing to the wafer level, where small features can be easily achieved through photolithography and other 2D planar processing techniques. In addition, flexible materials like polyimide and Paralon C and exotic electrode materials have been shown to improve performance and tolerance within the body. The need to scale manufacturing of these devices under strict quality systems, but at comparatively low volumes to standard MEMS devices, have driven many companies in this space, including my own, towards a CapEx intensive and expensive path of internal manufacturing. Science Corporation is a vertically integrated BCI company with 2 broad mandates. The first, to restore functionality to patients with debilitating neurological diseases in areas like vision, cognition, and mobility. And the second, to advance the field of neural engineering as a whole through a suite of end-to-end neural interface research products and custom MEMS Foundry services tailored for next-generation medical devices. Science Corporation was founded in 2021 and is a clinical stage medical technology company with dozens of patients across 6 different countries. We are a multinational corporation with headquarters located in Alameda, California, clinical operations based out of Paris, France, and Sydney, Australia, and our MEMS manufacturing facility where I'm located in Durham, North Carolina. From the beginning, we knew we wanted to vertically integrate our own BCI device manufacturing. In doing so, however, we realized there's a true need within the broader BCI industry to provide clinical grade manufacturing in a way that's sensitive to the needs of companies in the space. For that reason, we decided to acquire an existing MEMS foundry business with a long history of helping customers on their commercialization journey. Our fab began its life as the Microelectronics Center of North Carolina, MCNC, funded by the state of North Carolina in the 80s. 20 years later, MCNC spun off a MEMS unit called Kronos, which was quickly acquired by JDS Uniphase and then a French company, MEMSCAP, who ran it for 20 years. We purchased the business in December of 2022 from MEMSCAP and soon after launched what we call Science Foundry. At Science Foundry, we have 5,000 square feet of ISO 5 Class 100 cleanroom space. We run 6-inch wafers and we're ISO 9001 certified. And we're working towards our 1345 certification. We work with customers in two main capacities. The bulk of what we do is custom start to finish wafer processing or engineering runs to take customers through development and into volume production. In addition, we run MEMS MPWs, or as you formerly knew them as MUMPs, as a fast and cost-effective prototyping solution. We have an extensive set of capabilities to meet the needs of both standard and non-standard MEMS customers. Our fab is designed to be a one-stop shop for all your wafer processing needs, from bare substrate to singulated die. And while the focus of our parent company and the purpose of today's talk is primarily brain-computer interface devices, I'll briefly mention that Science Foundry works extensively across a wide variety of industries. We are open to working with ambitious customers to productionize any MEMS device that falls within our capabilities, and we have experience in numerous applications in sensing and actuation. Seeing an unmet need within the industry, Science Foundry is enabling more BCI companies to go fabless in three key ways. The first is through a series of commercial neural interface offerings and off-the-shelf neural probes for end-to-end neuroscience research. The second is through a set of standard technologies that can be readily adapted for custom probe development. And the final is by leveraging our own expertise in post-CMOS customization and packaging strategies for the benefit of medical device customers. Science Core has recently released a suite of commercial neural interface offerings that we refer to as our BCI toolkit. Answering tough questions in the field of neuroscience required us to internally develop a set of next-generation tools that we are now making readily available to others in the space of neural engineering. BCI toolkit consists of various neural interface devices or probes that interface directly with neural tissue and integrate custom integrated circuits for high-fidelity neural recording and stimulation. Our off-the-shelf Axon probe designs contain the electronics needed for neural signal amplification and filtering. However, we also offer adapters for users' probes so that if desired, they're able to integrate seamlessly with our next-generation head stage to transmit neural data over Wi-Fi in an extremely small form factor. All this hardware interfaces directly with our custom data acquisition software and allows for end-to-end neuroscience experimentation. Our Axon probes are fabricated here at our Science Foundry and are currently offered both on and off substrate. Our designs include record-only or record-plus optical stimulation for bidirectional neural interfacing, allowing for a host of different types of experiments. Documentation and layout files for our off-the-shelf probe designs are located conveniently on our website, so that users can determine which best fits their needs. If one of these designs is not suitable for a user's application, however, we still have a solution by way of standardized processes for custom designs. Science Foundry supports a number of legacy MEMS multi-project wafer offerings, which we refer to as Science Standard Technologies. In addition, we have introduced new standard technologies to offer the same fabrication shortcuts to customers in the BCI space. The MEMS prototyping phase is long, as we all know, often consuming multiple years and costing millions of dollars. MEMS MPWs have the ability to significantly reduce the timelines and costs associated with this process for many MEMS development companies. We currently have 5 standard technologies, older suspects such as polysilicon and SOI, and the aluminum nitride piezo process, which I'm sure the audience is well familiar with. And we have 2 flavors of thin film electronics, which are based off the Axon probe process flow, and I'll go into more detail. Our basic thin film electronics process consists of a metal routing layer sandwiched between 2 flexible polymer layers. It forms the backbone of much of our internal medical device work. In an effort to enable BCI, we decided to open the process up to external users as well. We don't run this as a true MPW. However, users can purchase full wafers of their designs through our standard process flow at a reduced cost. In addition to being useful for flexible neural interface devices, this process is great for creating general flex cables or interposers. We've recently released a more complex variation of the thin film electronics process where we've integrated multi-layer routing, optional micro LEDs for optogenetic stimulation, and electroplating for increased robustness during integration of integrated circuit components. We run this similarly to the standard TFE process on an as-needed basis at the per wafer level, and it's the process that forms the basis of many of our internal Axon probe product offerings. For each of these processes, we have online handbooks that go through the full process flow, similar to our aluminum nitride and SOI and polysilicon. We have design rules and definitions and details so you can ensure your design fits within the appropriate bounds. In addition, we have an online customer ordering interface that gives full visibility on pricing and additional options and allows users to upload their designs directly for processing. While most of this is automated, however, our team is always available to answer questions and support users during the submission process. So while there's clearly a lot of overlap between BCI devices and MEMS, some of you may argue that not all BCI devices are MEMS, and I actually couldn't agree more. The clinical aspect of our company is primarily focused on restoring vision to patients blinded by age-related macular degeneration. The Prima implant, which is primarily fabricated on a CMOS line, is the 2x2 millimeter photovoltaic array that gets implanted in the back of the eye and works in conjunction with an IR laser to restore vision to those suffering from degenerative photoreceptor loss. The implant works in conjunction with a wearable containing a camera, projection module, and pocket processor. And I have a video coming up right here to illustrate the surgery and the operation. As shown in this video, this small device is surgically implanted in the subretinal space using very precise instruments and sealed into its location to integrate with remaining tissue in the retina. Camera captures images of the patient's surroundings and beams them to the implant in the infrared to reform the images. Preliminary clinical trials results have been extremely positive. We've implanted 38 patients at 17 different sites across 5 European countries. The vast majority which seen marked improvement in visual acuity with use of the implant at both 6 and 12-month marks. Put the data into perspective, this chart shows both the mean and best improvements in vision on a Snellen chart that you may see in a doctor's office. This represents one of the first demonstrations of the restoration of useful vision using a prosthetic device in patients blinded by macular degeneration. And I guess also to note, October 20th last year, we had a Time Magazine article. We had a New England Journal of Medicine articles also going into greater detail on the Prima implant technology. The Prima implant and others like it require many steps beyond what a standard CMOS foundry is willing and able to do, especially when it comes to exotic materials designed to improve device longevity and tolerance by the body. Common examples of this include PECVD silicon carbide for encapsulation, or nitride or sputtered iridium oxide films for enhanced electro performance and neural stimulation. Companies in need of these specialized capabilities often need to bounce wafers around the world to multiple vendors in order to achieve ideal performance in their devices. By bringing a lot of these BCI-specific fabrication capabilities under one roof, we not only intend to accelerate our own commercialization timelines, but those of our customers as well. And this is a project that I'm working on personally, at least for the back-end processes with silicon carbide and the sputtered iridium oxide. But as of now, there is no single place, dare I say, on the planet that offers those films that are at a medical device quality. And in particular, when it comes to the CyROF, and also if you're looking at certification for 13485, it's difficult to find many vendors that offer CyROF that'll certify it. And these are capabilities we all have here, and you have the traceability metrics met. Science Foundry endeavors to enable more fabless BCI companies by leveraging our MEMS production infrastructure for the benefit of the field, whether it's through our off-the-shelf products or customized services. We aim to decrease timelines to commercialization so that we can help get these devices in the hands of patients who need them faster. And that's all I have for this talk. So it was a little shorter than I thought, but thank you for listening. Thank you.